My name is SITI HIEDAIA and I will begin with introduction first. Collective security clearly implies collective measures for dealing with threats to peace. Collective security can be understood as a security arrangement where a group of countries pledge cooperative joint action in the eyes of threat to their economic or territorial sovereignty. This threat may be thwarted in the form of sanction or use of armed force. The concept of collective security is seen as the basis of many international peace agreements in the face modern international relations. Inter alia other concepts, collective security has formed the foundation of international bodies such as the United Nations and the League of Nations. The member states of accepted certain limitations on self-defense which are the reciprocal of its promise of collective security. They place reliance on the belief that the Charter's scheme of collective security will afford them at least as much protection for their national security as they had agreed to relinquish. Collective security as a concept contrasts with retaliatory strategies of engaging in war for immediate national interests. The United Nations Charter also recognized the inherent right of individual and collective self-defense. This has been often used by the member states as a way to circumvent the binding obligation in the modern day. The way this inherent right has been put to use, especially in the war against terror, has led to some strict scrutiny of the concept of collective security.
My name is SHAFIQAH and I'll be talking about a few issues involved in collective security. The first issue is regarding prohibition of force. Every war, as well as every threat or use of force short of war by one state against another, is prohibited by international law and therefore illegal. Since the prohibition on the use of force is intended to be absolute, it applies to what the traditional theory of international law terms both just and unjust war. According to the collective security philosophy, there is no difference between just and unjust war, except for two exceptions, which are war waged in self-defense by individual state and participation in collective enforcement action undertaken by the international community. Every war is an act of aggression, even if it is initiated because a state has been wrong. Second issue is regarding to United Nations Security Council. Analysts have criticized the Security Council for failing to uphold its fundamental responsibility, especially during major international crises of the 20th century, such as the Arab-Israel conflict, Yugoslavia, Iraq, Africa, and North Korea. In each of these instances, the Security Council failed to act decisively, resulting in disastrous outcome. This demonstrates that the collective security administered by the United Nations was severely flawed, resulting in the failure of all of these collective security measures. Therefore, the failure of the collective security system can be attributed to the United Nations' inability to administer the system. Last issue is regarding to transnational terrorism. This can be seen in the case of the US-led attack on Iraq and subsequent removal of Saddam Hussein. The suspicion of the country's ties to terrorism, particularly Al-Qaeda, was the impetus for the attack. However, no such connection was discovered. The United States and its international allies did not retreat. Therefore, analysts believe that the United States violated the fundamental principle of collective security when it was argued that the United States' stance was predominantly offensive rather than defensive in response to a hostile threat. This clearly demonstrates that one of the primary problems with collective security today is violation of the United Nations definition. Therefore, it is important to note that the purpose of collective security is to provide security to nation-state or states, or to mount a defensive posture against hostility. However, some individuals are violating the definition and creating offensive forces. Therefore, the problem with such action is that they undermine the collective objective, and the cost outweigh of benefit in the long run.
The parties involved in collective security is peacekeeping forces. Military and civilian personnel are deployed by the United Nations or other regional organizations to conflict zones or post-conflict scenarios to make up peacekeeping forces. They exist to assist in preserving peace, safeguarding citizens, facilitating humanitarian, and advancing political process in areas affected by armed conflict. On a voluntary basis, member states provide troops. Second is member states. The United Nations member states play a significant role in global collective security. They have a duty to preserve and respect international law, work with other nations, and support the preservation of peace and security. Through diplomatic negotiation, military contributions, economic sanctions, peacekeeping mission, and other measures, member states may take part in collective security initiatives.
Now, I will continue about the parties that are involved in the collective security around the world. The next party involved is Regional Organization or RO. RO is transnational geopolitical entities that entities that in terms of functioning go beyond a single country state and integrate worldwide membership. Boundaries and democratics typical to a well-defined and distinct geography such as continents, geopolitics, economic blocks, and characterize their membership. Within a constructive physical or geopolitical boundary, they have been constructed to promote collaboration, political or economic integration, or conversation between nation and entities. The context of security, these organizations are responsible for ensuring the safety of their respective areas. Not only that, with a combination of several countries, the defense force can be enhanced. Safety will be more assured. For example, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is NATO, and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, and European Union, EU. Next is non-government organisation, NGOs. NGOs are autonomous non-government organisation that run on a non-profit basis and are not connected to any particular of government. They are frequently contribute significantly to the advancement of human rights, conflict resolution, and humanitarian aids. Clubs and organizations that offer services to its members and other can also be included. NGOs enjoy a high level of public trust, making them an effective stand for societal and stakeholders' issues. In the context of security, NGOs are also involved because they can voice their views on the common security of several countries. This is because in NGOs there will certainly be several people who specialize in a field where the military, diplomatic or international relation and others. This will help together to some extent. For example, International NGO Safety and Security Association (INSSA), located in Silver Spring in Maryland, USA. One of the members is Christopher Mayer, which colonel in United States Army Forces, USAF. With that, I pass to the next person for archaeological chronology. Thank you.
Thank you, presenter. My name is AMIRA Nabila binti RASHDAN NUBLI, and I will continue the presentation with the suggestion. The first suggestion is by widening the scope of law governing the use of force. The United Nations Charter contains shallow principles governing the use of force, which has created a large problem. A case in point is Article 51 of the United Nations Charter, which provides for self-defense as an exception to the use of force. The Charter does not explain the extent of the use of force, and as a result, states have created their own grounds for self-defense, such as anticipatory self-defense. Therefore, by widening the scope of law governing the use of force, all parties can refer to it since it is governed by international human rights law, which is applicable at all times. Moving on to the next suggestion, the United Nations should focus on peacekeeping. Peacekeeping has proven to be one of the most effective tools available to the United Nations to assist countries to navigate the difficult paths and conflict to peace. Today's multidimensional peacekeeping operations are called upon not only to maintain peace and security, but also to facilitate political processes, protect civilians, assist in the disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration of former combatants, support constitutional processes and the organizations of election, protect and promote human rights, and assist in restoring the rule of law and extending legitimate state authority. Hence, it is undeniable that the United Nations should focus on peacekeeping. And that's it from me. I will pass the presentation to Shafiqah to continue with the next presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Amira. My name is SHAFIQA. Now I will continue with the last suggestion, which is expand aviation and border security. Ensuring effective aviation and border security are essential for preventing and countering the flow of suspect terrorists and foreign terrorist fighters across the lands, air and maritime border, as well as the cross-border movement of licit and illicit cargo, including drugs, weapons, arms and munitions that may be used for terrorist purpose. If aviation and border security does succeed, then the chances of any dangerous situation, illegal items or threats entering into an aircraft, country or airport are greatly reduced. Now, for a conclusion, when a collection of nations commit cooperative joint action in the case of a threat to their socio-economic or territorial sovereignty, this may be referred to as collective security. States have combined into one multinational body as a result of weakening international boundaries and the idea of a global community. This international organization will serve as a higher power to regulate interaction between the various units. This concept is what inspired the creation of multinational organizations like the League of Nations and the United Nations. Collective security among various states has served as the basis of several international organizations. All parties, such as the foundation of international bodies, play an important role to ensure that the issue that will occur can be prevented or avoided so that each region and their economic sovereignty can be defended. Therefore, there will be no misunderstanding between states and no war will break out.